Welcome, my brothers and sisters, to the Richard James Show on 17104, The Voice.
I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah. It ain't no harm to have your mind. My Lord, he said, stay on freedom. It ain't no harm to have your mind. Stay on freedom. It ain't no harm to have your mind. My Lord, he said, stay on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Greetings, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, my human family. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Richard James Show. We're going to do a part two of the Jackie Robinson story. He had such a dynamic life, a short one, but a dynamic one. He dedicated his life and the things that he did on life's journey to helping others, as well as demonstrating his major capacity to help himself and to utilize the God-given talent that he had. Jackie Robinson. We're going to go through some of the things that he did. We probably repeat some of the things. One correction I wanted to make, I said that he had graduated from University of Southern California. That's not true. It's UCLA, the University at Los Angeles. UCLA was the school that he went to. And from what I understand, he may not have graduated, but he did go there. And he did perform. He was a tremendous, tremendous athlete. And Jackie also went to community college, Pasadena. He graduated from high school at Washington High School. And in college, he profoundly affected the whole uh, athletic system of the day. I mean, he was not only great in terms of baseball, and he was super great with baseball. He ran track, he played basketball, there was baseball, and there was football. He was an amazing running back. And it's kind of sad that some of these super duper athletes sometimes uh, face major health problems after they retire. Jack didn't live a long time after retirement, even though every moment of his life was special. And he did a lot of good things for people and also lifted up his family. He was blessed, as I feel blessed. I have a wonderful wife. He was blessed with a wife, Rachel Robinson. And that was really, really the joy of his life. She backed him up all while he was alive. And even after he died, she lifted up her dearly beloved husband. And we're going to look at a couple of videos that will show. Now, these are not videos that I produced. We're just borrowing these videos. You can find them on YouTube. But we thought they were very, very, very special videos and depicted the life journey of one of baseball's greatest players. Now, there were other great players in terms of baseball. Uh, One was a man by the name of Hammering Hank Aaron. Hammering Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record. Somebody said that it couldn't be done And Hank, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't, but I'd be the one that would try. Well, Hank did it, broke it, and did a great job. And who was Hank's hero? Who did Hank talk about when it comes to patterning his game master? None other than the late, great Jackie Robinson. Another fellow that broke Hank's record was Barry Bond. Barry Bond had some issues. Barry Bond was a great ball player. Again, he lifted up Jackie Robinson and the greatness of Jackie Robinson, an example that Jackie Robinson set. Barry Bond even broke Hank Aaron's home run record. And I think Barry has some problems. I don't think he's been admitted to the Hall of Fame as of yet. Uh, Hopefully that they will reconsider and put this great man where he belongs. But all of them, there were others. Roy Campanella is another great ball player of color. Uh, and it's interesting that when we have individuals such as Jackie Robinson, who are gifted and not only blessed with character, Jackie Robinson was a man of great character, fortitude. Why is it that these bigots get angry because a black man had broken a record that was set by a white man? What in the devil is the difference between the two? Both human beings, both Americans, both. Jackie was a great man of character. Why would some bigots get angry because this man, setting a beautiful example for others to follow, has broken records that were set by some of the other people? And you know, Jackie didn't break the home run record, by the way, but he did many other things and was a great ball player, great to the point that the first year of his professional career, I mean, within the major leagues. Now, he had some accomplishments, of course, with the old Negro League. He was named Rookie of the Year. So he came in smoking. Jackie came in getting it done. And that's a wonderful thing. And setting example for our young people, because, you know, young people are often told that they cannot do it. And Jackie came from humble beginnings. He didn't come from a bourgeois family that had means. He had his father had left his mother early on, and that's why Mallory Robinson picked up her bags from Cairo, Georgia, and adventured across the country where she had a brother in L.A. and set up housekeeping there and picking up odd jobs and whatever she could do. She took care of three kids, two sons, Jackie Robinson Jr., David Robinson, and also Jackie's lovely daughter. She took care of all three of them, and, and also used whatever resources that she had to make sure these folks had the advantages and also could go to college and make something good of themselves. Uh, and Jackie had an older brother. The oldest of the three was Matt Robinson. Matt Robinson, we explained to you, was also a great super athlete. But Matt Robinson, even though he had a spectacular career after having winning 36 Olympics, coming home, placing only second to the late great Jesse Owens, he could not uh, raise up and be considered in the professional leagues, which he should have been, because he was also a wonderful athlete, very supportive of Jackie. Loved Jackie. Those two brothers were like thick as thieves, so the expression is. They loved each other and supported each other their entire life. And Matt Robinson wound up sweeping streets and never given the recognition or, or shall we say, the support that this country should give. Bigotry, and racism lifted up by the majority community. helped to destroy these, or shall we say, hold back. They didn't really destroy Jackie. Jackie plunged ahead as if they weren't even there and got it done anyway. But Mac was knocked down. Mac got a job and swept streets for the rest of his duration of his life. Unfair, racist, racist. Why is it that every great person of color that's trying to do something with their life, the first and number one barrier is racism? Why is that? It's not fair. It's not even bright. It's not even smart. What are we doing getting rid of talented individuals or holding back talented individuals simply because their color is different? Their genealogy is different. Thank God for people like Jackie Roosevelt Robinson, who plunged ahead in spite of the bigotry. I looked at some of those videos, Branch Rickey telling Jackie that he has to learn not to react to bigotry. I think Branch Williams was full of it. I totally disagree with that. You should not only react, you should stomp it to death. You should work toward ending that bigotry. I understand Jackie, uh, when he was in service, tried to court martial him because he refused to sit in the back of the bus. You hear me? Bigotry upheld by the institution of the United States Army, held by the then President of the United States. Bigotry. Thank God that Harry S. Truman had the sense and the decency to end the racism and separation and discrimination against black folks in the Army. You tell me well over 1 million black men fought in World War II. Some of them came home and were hung by the neck. Why? Had they committed any crime? No. They just happened to be African American. They happened to be black individuals. Well, thank God for a man who worked his way through the bigotry, who stepped on the plane, and people began to know who Jackie Robinson is. And once they got to know him, they loved him. They loved him. He is worthy to be loved. He's a great man of faith and endurance. Well, hey, I'm going off. I get to thinking about my dear cousin, and I'm thinking about the things that he'd gone through. And that's why I dedicated my life uh, to fighting bigotry and discrimination and racism. And I thank God for people like Governor Robert P. Casey that gave me the honor and the privilege of running his affirmative action and civil rights program for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All right, let's take a look. And one thing again, let me back up and say one true blessing that Jackie had was a woman who stood by his side and who loved them to pieces. Let's take a look at some of these videos. Let's take a look at Rachel Robinson and what she had to say about her beloved husband.
Compare your experience or experiences in Montreal versus in the United States pertaining to race and how you were accepted or not accepted. Was there a big difference?
Oh, tremendous difference, yes. Tremendous difference. First of all, we got married in February and went to our first spring training in April. On our way to spring, and we were determined to get to spring training on time and be ready to play. Now, when I say we, that's the way it was. I mean, I was in on all this. I didn't walk behind him. I walked beside him, and
I love it.
We were in it together. I dressed for, I have to put dress in here because Jack had given me an ermine coat that he had paid down on and paid on for the whole 5 years that we were engaged. So I had on my ermine coat and my Harlem hat. I bought a hat in Harlem, and I had my handbag, and I was ready. The stewardess on the plane came, when we got to New Orleans, came to our seats and said, you need to go into the office. We thought it was just a stopover. And so Jack got up and went to the office, and the stewardess came back to me, and she said, I think you need to follow him. And we didn't know it, but we were being bumped from the plane.
This is en route to Florida?
En route to our first spring training in Florida.
Florida, yes.
When I walked into the airport, I saw Jack arguing with somebody at a counter, and I thought I should be over there because we don't want anything to go wrong. We were very nervous. I was very nervous about going into the South. I'd never been South. I'd read a lot of things about the South, and I was nervous. So before I went over there, though, I noticed the signs: white women, black, what are they called? Negro women, I guess. And I went in the white woman's dressing room. I had to do something to restore my sense of power, or who I am or whatever. And so I went in the white women's bathroom. Nobody stopped me. They looked at me like I was crazy, but, I felt better when I came out. And then I went over and took Jack's arm, and I said, what's going on here? He said, well, we're being taken off the plane, and they don't give us a good explanation, and they say there's nothing else going out tonight, and we're going to have to stay here overnight. So we didn't have any recourse because he was talking to the supervisor, and that was it. So we went to a hotel, a terrible rundown place that Jack remembered from when he'd been on tour, and the beds were like newspaper was on the bed, this crinkly, lopsided, whatever. Anyway, it didn't do anything for our spirits. It made us feel even worse. And we spent the night there and went back. We were put on another plane, and when they got to Pensacola, Florida, they called us again and called us in and gave us the same story that they had to put on extra gasoline or something. We saw a white couple going on the plane. We were furious, but you almost feel like you cannot make trouble when you don't know what the circumstances are and who's going to come to your aid if you do make trouble. And we had to get to that Daytona Beach April 1st. I mean, we just didn't have time to be arrested or to anything. So we complied, and we got off, and we decided to take a bus the rest of the way. And we took a bus from Jacksonville on into Daytona Beach, Florida. And even on the bus, I had the first experience of having to sit on the back of the bus.
Oh, even on the bus.
Even on the bus.
Back, yes.
We had to sit on the back of the bus. They forced us back there. And pretty soon, when people started coming in from the fields and whatnot, there were a lot of black people on the bus, but they had to stand because all the seats were taken. We developed on that back seat a little scheme whereby we'd sit up and somebody else could sit back, and I made more room on the back bench. Or we'd take turns standing. There was a coordinated, cooperative spirit that developed on a bus ride. That's the only way I can recover, and that's my way of dealing with any kind of stress or trauma, is to look for signs of hope. And this little business on the bus made me feel good. I said, oh, black people can stand together, and we're not going to let anybody stand up too long, and and it was great. I made a whole thing out of it. But when we got to Daytona, that was just the beginning, because in Jacksonville, the game was called off because Jack was there. They locked the park and wouldn't allow the team on the grounds. In Sanford, Florida, Jack was on the field, and they sent the police out on the field to escort him in. They said they didn't allow mixed games. So we had real raw experiences like that. We couldn't live with the team in the hotel, of course. They lived right on the beach, and we were placed with a black family. But that, too, was a blessing for that particular thing. It was such a relief to get into the home of Joe and Duff Harris every evening, where we had a home, and we didn't have the scrutiny of what's happening out in the white world, and we didn't have the pressures of that. We had a little tiny bedroom at the top of the stairs in the Harris home, and we were on our honeymoon, so we didn't mind. We just loved being up there by ourselves. And we played a little gin rummy, and we made love, and we just did all the, we had a grand time. In Myrtle Beach, for instance, they allowed black people into the stands, but they had a hole in the fence. They couldn't come through the turnstile. They had a hole in the backfield fence, and they had to stoop and come in through this hole in the fence. It was so humiliating and so terrible, and I refused to go sit in that park. I have photographs of it where black people were dressed up to come to that park.
Yes.
The men had on hats. The women were dressed. It was an outing for them, a really lovely outing. And when the black section filled up, they had to sit on the field on the ground. So if a ball came to the outfield, they had to scramble like animals.
Yes.
It was so humiliating and so distasteful that I used to go to the park and sit in the car, and I wouldn't go in. I'd try to hear the game on the radio. So all through Florida, we had that experience. Now here's Rachel again with looking for the bright side. One, we had the Duff Harris house, which was like home, and the people that the Harrises knew were very politically astute, and they were working together. For instance, they were going to get black bus drivers. While we were there, they were working to get black bus drivers, and they were organizing around that. They also, when Jack got very uptight and went into a hitting slump while we were there. When he finally got the first hit, they called all the faculty in from Bethune-Cookman College.
Oh, yes.
And Mrs. Bethune was still alive. And they had a dinner in their house celebrating Jack's victory of being able to start hitting. And they brought things from the agricultural school, fresh vegetables and chickens and everything else to their house. So we had that. And then we had the great pleasure and excitement of meeting Mary Beth Cloud Bethune. She was
fantastic.
She was a great lady and very gracious and warm and wonderful to us. And she said, "You keep on, you're doing the right thing," and a lot of encouragement came from her. We had this horrendous experience, really. We were immersed in a situation in the South that we had never been quite challenged to that extent, and physically threatened as we felt we were in the South. So we were glad to get out of there.
I guess.
And we were assigned to Montreal. Taking all this baggage with me up to Montreal, the club had not identified our living quarters. They gave us a list of apartments. And I thought, what did they know? I mean, this is not going to go well. But anyway, I took the list, and the first place I selected on De Gaspé Street, I rang the bell with a lot of trepidation, and the woman came out, and she's smiling, and she didn't react to my color.
This is in Montreal now.
In Montreal.
Yes.
If she reacted to my color, it was not visible. She said, "Oh, come in, and you come from the ball club?" And I said, "Yes," and so forth. We sat, and she took me around, and I knew the signs when someone's going to turn you off and someone's going to reject you. You know the signs right away. I mean, they take this when they first see you. There's the startled look or whatever, or the despairing look. And she wouldn't have shown me around if she didn't intend to let me think about it. Well, I loved the apartment. It was beautifully organized and very nicely kept in a nice neighborhood. It had a nice back porch and a lot of features that I liked. So we sat down and started talking, and she said, "I really would like you to use my linens and my china and my glassware." So she said, "I'm leaving everything here for you." And another good sign that she was not discriminating against me. In other words, she's welcoming me in a very different way. And that day we signed the lease. Now we had that same kind of reception in the ballpark when Jack got out on the field, big excitement. None of the hate notes we had been getting in other situations, and none of the threats. He didn't need special guards. And this little neighborhood, De Gaspé Street, I was pregnant with Jackie Jr. after we moved there. And there was a tendency on the block for people to come out on their back porches in the evening. So you'd wave to people down next door,
what a
down this
respite.
way and that. When the women saw that I was pregnant, they came in to tell me that they wanted to help. Now, there was rationing of, you had to have food stamps, ration stamps. So they would come in and bring me extra stamps so I should get, the proper nutrition. They knew I was sewing my clothes, and they came in to put the hems in my dresses.
Oh, my goodness.
If I'd come walking down the street with my groceries, the kids would come run and help me carry them into the house. Things I wasn't accustomed to anywhere.
Anywhere.
Even in Los Angeles, I didn't get that kind of welcome, you're one of us. And they spoke French and I didn't speak French. So we couldn't even communicate that way, not verbally. And it was mostly nodding and smiling and doing
And doing.
that kept us going. And one day Jack had to go on the road, and the women noticed that I wasn't coming out on the porch. So they came in to be sure that I was all right, and to invite me to their porch, because you must be lonely, I mean, they didn't say it in so many words, but that was the feeling that they conveyed to me. So I started to do my part. My porch, there was a French-Canadian family above me with a lot of children, and I had a screen door on my porch. So I started putting big bowls of fruit on my kitchen table. So when the kids came down the stairs, they could peek in, and then they would knock, And I decided they must be poor because they had something like 8 kids. And so I would open the door and invite them in and give them fruit and, try to reciprocate in some way, because I do believe in reciprocation as part of a relationship. And I didn't want them taking care of me. I wanted to form a relationship with them so I could do for them as well in whatever way I could.
How long were you there?
And we were there a whole season.
A whole season.
A season from April through October. And we won the Little World Series that year. And Jack was very instrumental in that happening. So after the final game, a crowd formed, and a reporter wrote, and they followed Jack and ran after him, and then finally got him and put him up on his shoulders. And a reporter wrote, "It's one of the few times in history when a mob chases a black man, and to celebrate him."
All right. Rachel Robinson, a fantastic, wonderful, brilliant woman. Jackie could not have selected, and she could not have selected a better union together. Wonderful woman, was with him every step of the way. But did you notice the difference between his experience in the good old American South and his experience in Canada? It's just, and in Montreal. And now remember, Montreal, predominantly white town with only a small percentage of African Americans here, but decent people. It makes you wonder, think about those African Americans who fled the South and fled north to Canada. And that's not to say Canada was perfect, but it was so ideal when compared to the kind of bigotry and the racism that existed in this country. Uh, I'm familiar with Jacksonville, Florida. Uh, Again, I was born in Thomasville, Georgia, which is really, really only a stone's throw, 13 miles from Cairo, and we're both north of the Florida state line. The closest southern city to Thomasville and Cairo is Tallahassee, and Tallahassee, Florida, is the capital of the state of Florida. You may have remembered recently the mayor of the city of Tallahassee was an African American who ran for governor and lost the race. But that's a current happening. Back in those days, bigotry was really, 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 really um, up wild in that part of the country. And they were over in Jacksonville, which is the eastern part of the state. Tallahassee is on the western, but it's all the South, the good old American racist, bigoted South. And that was the experience that a great American, a man of character, endured there in his career, en route in his journey, making something of his life. Now let's look at the second. We have a second video with Rachel Robinson and telling something else that, or should say, another period of what's happening with Jackie Robinson. Let's look at the second video.
Jack was playing with the Montreal Royals. No, Jack was playing with the Monarchs in the Negro Leagues when he was scouted. And he'd only been with the Monarchs 1 year. And he went to the Negro Leagues primarily because there was no place else to go. I mean, they were great players. And he learned a lot from them. And it was a good thing, I think, that he made that transition into sports, professional sports, by going to the black team first.
This was after he did his stint
after
in
the Army. After
Yes,
he came out of the
okay.
Army.
That was his first job.
That was his first job, and he
Okay.
didn't have anything else going for him. So he went to the Monarchs. Branch Rickey then sent scouts out, and they scouted him with the Monarchs and invited him to come to New York. The ruse was that Rickey was forming a brown team or some nonsense like that.
A brown team meaning black team?
Black team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he implied that he had the scout tell Jack that, and Jack didn't understand that because here are the whole Negro League, so why did this white man have to start another team? But anyway, he's looking for opportunity, desperate for opportunities, really, and went to meet with Branch Rickey. The meeting has been reported over and over in great detail, and sometimes I'm not sure whether the stories are correct, but anyway, Mr. Rickey gets caricatured by the press. And so with his big cigar and his funny hat and his tendency to pontificate, he seems like an overwhelming, big, aggressive man. Jack didn't find him to be that way. They sat across from each other, and they talked about their families. And Mr. Rickey had a son and 2 daughters, and he called his wife Mother.
Oh.
And he's very devoted to his family, very devoted to his religion. He did not go to ball games on Sunday, even as owner or general manager in any role that he was in.
What was his religion?
And I think I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
And Mr. Robinson was about
Methodist.
in his 20s at
Yeah,
that time?
he was in he was about 26.
Yes.
And he liked the person because they immediately kind of clicked around mostly their values and their commitment to family, to religion.
That was the commonality.
And that made it easy to talk to him about really difficult things, because what Branch Rickey wanted to inform him about and prepare him for was the racism he was going to that he was going to meet. And so he threw in a kind of role-playing situation, he threw all these circumstances out. What would you do if someone threw a black cat on the field, or spat on you, or came in and spiked you, and how would you handle this, and how would you handle that? And as is well reported, Jack said, "Mr. Rickey, do you want a man who's afraid to fight back?" And he said, "No, I want a man who will not fight back and who will stand up in other ways." And they developed this pact, really, at that meeting, because Rickey was going to hire him. He knew that. That was the end result of the meeting. They managed to, they were good together. Rickey made him a deal, made him terrible deal, but anyway, he
Yes.
gave him $5,000 bonus to
I
sign,
see.
and very low salary, but it was an opportunity. He knew it was an opportunity, and he knew that. I think he sensed that, and when he called me, talked to me. I was in California when he met with Ricky, and he called me. He said he sensed that this was a man who was going to stand behind it. It was not just a gimmick and just a trial or an experiment. This is a man who believed in things like family, like commitment, like, he wanted him on the team, and he was going to help him stay there.
So he did show support.
So he felt the support in that meeting
I see.
would come, and that only a man who was serious about this proposition would have taken the tact of doing the role playing and trying to show him what he was going to face or prepare him for what he was going to face so he could get ready for it. And they hit it off. His motives for even wanting to recruit a black were mixed. In part, even Ricky himself tried to play down the sociological aspects of this. And he's a very astute recruiter. He's a very astute businessman. He wanted to enrich his team with skill and competence and standard. So he was looking for a new source. And it was after World War II where a lot of the players not a lot, but a substantial number of players and stars had gone into the Army or into the armed services. So they needed to recruit to replace them. And so that was a part of it, the business part of it.
Oh, yes.
He said that he was looking for a ball player who not only was excellent in the game, but who was educated. He was definitely looking for an educated man, and who had the temperament to do what he thought was necessary to carry this out, so that he wasn't going to blow up and fall apart, any of those things. And he deliberately decided he had to get one solid fellow, and then the others would follow.
Again, a very articulate, a very intelligent presentation from the wife of Jackie Robinson, Rachel Robinson. By the way, she's still alive. Last time I looked, she was 98 years old. Brilliant woman. Still lifting up her husband, representing him at some of these ceremonies where he's given awards. Retirement of his jersey, number 42. Rachel Robinson is out of this world as far as I'm concerned. And one thing Jackie was blessed with is to spend his journey with a wife that just loved him to pieces, supported him, was with him, and the chemistry between the two was very, very positive. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. Now, on the field, Jackie went through hell in many, many, many ways. He had to deal with a lot of racism that happened on the field. Let's take a look at the next video. The next video will give you some of the kinds of experiences Jackie had to deal with. Thank you.
Welcome to the 5 Minute Biographies YouTube channel. Here is your host, Wayne Armstrong.
Hi guys, thanks for watching the show. Just a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the biographies we've got coming along in the future. That being said, let's get on with the show and the 5 Minute Biographies presentation of Jackie Robinson. Jack Roosevelt Robinson, known as Jackie, was born on the 31st of January 1919 in Cairo, Georgia, USA. He was the last of 5 children born into a family of sharecroppers, which meant that they worked the land for a landowner in return for a share of the crops they produced. Jackie's middle name was given to him in honour of President Theodore Roosevelt, who had died only 25 days before he was born. Before Jackie was 1 year old, his father Jerry left the family, and so his mother, Mally, moved along with Jackie and his 3 brothers, Edgar, Frank and Matthew, and his sister Willa May, to a small plot containing 2 houses at 121 Pepper Street in Pasadena, California. The neighbourhood itself was rather affluent compared to what the family had known before, but as Mally only had a few odd jobs with which to pay the bills, they themselves were relatively poor. Due to the lack of things to do for a kid in the neighbourhood, Jackie was tempted to join in the gang culture but was persuaded not to by his friend Carl Anderson. In 1935, Jackie went to John Muir High School following his graduation from Washington Junior High and was persuaded to pursue his interest in sports by his brothers Matthew and Frank. It should be noted that Jackie was not the only member of his family to become an accomplished sportsman. His brother Matthew, also known as Mac, would become a silver medalist at the 1936 Summer Olympics. Jackie played a number of sports at school, including football, where he played quarterback, basketball, where he played guard, and baseball, where he played shortstop and catcher. He also enjoyed track events and was a member of the tennis team. The Pasadena Star-News in 1937 reported that Jackie had been the outstanding athlete at Muir for 2 years running. And after he graduated from Muir, Jackie went to college at Pasadena Junior College, where he continued his interest in football, basketball, baseball and track. In 1938 he was elected to the baseball team for the All-Southland Junior College team and became the region's most valuable player. And during the same year he was recognized by the college for the commitment and dedication he showed to his work and for the outstanding service he gave to his school. Also during this time, Jackie was persuaded to attend church regularly by Reverend Carl Downs, who became a confidant for him. He was also starting to have regular run-ins with authority figures, including the police, especially when he or his friends became the targets of racially motivated incidents. Towards the end of his time at Pasadena Junior College, the brother he was closest to, Frank, was killed in a motorcycle accident. This led to Jackie wanting to stay close to Frank's family, and so he decided to pursue his athletics career at UCLA, which was nearby. At UCLA, Jackie Robinson once again excelled at his 4 chosen sports and became part of what was at the time the most integrated college football team in the country, the UCLA Bruins, as he was one of 4 black players on the team. He won accolades in track and field and also met Rachel Isom, who would become his future wife, whilst at UCLA. However, in early 1941 he left college to get a job as assistant athletic director with the National Youth Administration. When the government disbanded the program, Robinson travelled to Hawaii and played semi-professional football for the Honolulu Bears. He soon returned to California though, but what looked to be a professional football career in the making was stopped dead when in December of 1941 the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. Jackie was drafted in 1942 and was assigned to a segregated Army cavalry unit. As he had the qualifications, he applied to officer school, but although the policy was for officer school to be racially neutral, few black applicants were admitted. It took some intervention from an aide to the Secretary of War, Truman Gibson, and protests by none other than world heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis before Jackie would be admitted. After this, Jackie was made a second lieutenant, and he and Joe Louis became friends. At around the same time, Jackie and Rachel were formally engaged. Jackie was assigned to the Black Panthers, otherwise known as the 761st Tank Battalion. The Black Panthers was the first black tank unit to see combat, but Jackie wasn't with them. An incident involving his refusal to travel at the back of a bus whilst travelling to have his ankle looked at, which he had injured during college, eventually led to a court-martial. He was acquitted of all charges, but the proceedings took so long that he never saw combat duty. He served as an Army athletics coach in Kentucky until he received his honourable discharge in 1944. Whilst in Kentucky, though, Jackie was persuaded to write to the Kansas City Monarchs, a baseball team which was part of the Negro American League, in order to ask for a tryout, and in 1945 he signed for the team on $400 per month. He didn't enjoy his time in the Negro Leagues, though. The hectic schedule kept him away from Rachel, and he was appalled at the league's embrace of gambling and at its seemingly chaotic structure. He played 47 games for the Monarchs. During the season, Jackie pursued an interest in the major leagues. The Boston Red Sox held a tryout for him and other black players, but this was a farce, and he was subjected to racial insults. He left humiliated. Other clubs showed more serious interest, though, and Jackie eventually signed a $600 per month contract to play for the Montreal Royals in the 1946 season. The main gain for Jackie was that the grueling schedule of the Monarchs was now behind him, and so he was able to return to Pasadena. On the 10th of February 1946, Jackie Robinson and Rachel Isom were married. They would go on to have 3 children, Jackie Jr. in 1946, Sharon in 1950, and David in 1952. When the 1946 season started, Jackie struggled to get a game as various officials in Florida refused to allow any game to take place which involved a black player. It would take some serious lobbying before a game was eventually allowed to take place, but on the 17th of March 1946, Robinson played in an exhibition game between the Montreal Royals and its parent team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, making Jackie the first black player to openly play in a game featuring a Major League Baseball team. His professional debut in the minor leagues came on the 18th of April 1946, when Montreal met the Jersey City Giants at Roosevelt Stadium in New Jersey. Robinson led the International League that season and was named the most valuable player. Over 1 million fans attended baseball games which featured Jackie Robinson in 1946. The Major League's colour barrier was broken the following year when Montreal's parent team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, called Jackie Robinson up to the majors. He made his debut as first baseman on the 15th of April 1947. Robinson would continue to receive racial abuse in the major leagues too. Players would refuse to play with him, and there was talk of a strike, but this was leaked to the press. The National League stamped on any talk of a strike by advising all players that they would be suspended indefinitely, and what's more, the press was seen to be on Jackie's side and made it clear that any striking player would not receive any support. This didn't stop Jackie being the target of some rough play on the field, though, and continued racial abuse from the fans. However, all of this resolved to unite the Brooklyn Dodgers team even more than they already were. It wasn't all bad, though, and many players from other teams showed their support for Jackie, including Lee Hanley and Pee Wee Reese, to name 2. Pee Wee Reese is famously quoted as saying, "You can hate a man for many reasons. Colour is not one of them." Robinson finished the 1947 season as Major League Baseball Rookie of the Year. The racial pressure on Jackie Robinson started to ease during the 1948 season as a number of other black players joined the league. He signed a $12,500 contract and made more money during the off-season on a vaudeville tour answering preset baseball questions. In 1949, Jackie spent hours at the batting tee to improve his batting, and with the help of Hall of Famer George Sisler, he made significant improvements to his batting average, which, along with other improvements, helped him to become 1949's most valuable player. He was also becoming a national treasure, with songs being written about him making the charts. In 1950, Jackie became the highest-paid Dodger of all time with a $35,000 annual salary and led the National League in double plays by a second baseman. He stole 12 bases and made 99 runs by the end of the year, and during the same year Jackie also became a movie star when he appeared as himself in the Jackie Robinson Story. In 1951, Jackie nearly won the pennant with the Dodgers, but they were defeated by the New York Giants in a best-of-3 playoff series, which was ultimately won by the home run from Bobby Thompson after the famous shot heard all around the world. The Dodgers would win the National League pennant in 1952, but lost the World Series to the New York Yankees. In terms of his personal performance, 1952 was an average year for Jackie and would be the last as everyday starter at second base. History repeated itself in 1953 with the Dodgers winning the pennant but losing the World Series to the Yankees. Through that season, Jackie played in various positions and was becoming more and more interested in the possibilities associated with managing a ball team. He also continued to publicly address racial issues and served as editor for Our Sports magazine, using the platform to openly criticise segregated hotels and restaurants, some of which changed their ways as a result. 1954 would be the year that Jackie Robinson would become part of a championship-winning team when the Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in that year's World Series. In terms of his personal performance, though, it was Jackie's worst. He was now 37 years old and had missed 49 games, including the 7th game of the World Series. After the end of the 1956 season, Jackie Robinson was traded by the Dodgers to the New York Giants for $35,000 cash, but the deal was never completed as Robinson had already decided to retire. He retired from baseball on the 5th of January 1957 and later the same year was diagnosed with diabetes. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. He tried his hand at a number of things after baseball, including politics, and served as chairman of the board for Freedom National Bank. He also formed a construction company to help build low-cost housing and tried his hand at being a sports announcer for ABC. He made his last public appearance when he threw the ceremonial first pitch at the start of Game 2 of the World Series on the 15th of October 1972. His diabetes continued to cause his health to deteriorate, and by middle age, Jackie Robinson was almost blind. He had also developed heart disease. All of this came together on the 24th of October 1972. 9 days after throwing that ceremonial first pitch at the World Series, Jackie Robinson died. He was 53 years old.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of 5 Minute Biographies. If you did, please hit the thumbs up.
53 years old. But his journey was a positive one. His journey was a blessed one. But it was sad. This was a good video. It gave you some specifics in terms of the things that Jackie Robinson accomplished and the things that he had to deal with. Jackie Robinson was one of the greatest athletes of all times. Greatness is a gift granted to those who care. And certainly, Jackie Robinson cared. Another blessing was his family. His children, 3 children, 2 sons, and a daughter, and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful wife. Sad news in terms of his children is that Jackie Robinson Jr. was killed. I think it was in an accident, motorcycle or some kind of accident. His son had developed some problems with addiction, but it was not the addiction. It was just a bad accident that caused his early demise. His other son, David Robinson, became a businessman and agricultural farmer in Africa. I think it was Tanzania. And he's still alive and still kicking it and doing well. His wife, Rachel, is still at 98 years old, still in existence, still doing very, very positive things and lifting up her husband whenever the opportunity presents itself. In spite of the bigotry, in spite of the racism and the barriers, this man rose to greatness. sometimes when you face these kind of barriers and the discrimination and that kind of thing, greatness is a gift granted to those who care. And Jackie Robinson cared. Jackie Robinson was talented. He was a man of faith and certainly a man that will receive great rewards uh, for the things that he accomplished and the things that he has done. He has family who love him, family that's still here on the planet doing some very, very positive things. But he has set, shall we say, set the stage for the younger ones to say, hey, in spite of obstacles, in spite of the barriers that have been placed in your way, you still have the opportunity to get it done and to do things that uh, will help others. And Jackie Robinson was a man of love. I mean, he loved his wife, he loved his family, and being a man of love. And there's no bad that can come out of love. There's no good that can come out of hate. And it's part of these things that he had to confront. He lifted up what we call the blood-stained banner of hope, and progress. And he got it done. Oh, there are other great folks. There's a lot of things that uh, people are able to do. But one thing I can say about young African Americans uh, who reach their pinnacle in life and dedicate their life to others and dedicate their life to doing good for others, uh, it can't come out bad. It's going to come out well. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much. You've gone over to the great beyond. At some point, I will be meeting you there. Others will be there. And we appreciate you, man. We appreciate the things that you've done for us and you've done for others and you've done for our children. I just want to say this to my great friends and family. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Richard James Show. We are still down in Lebanon, Pennsylvania at the Lebanon Valley Farmers Market, located at 35 South 8th Street. Here's some pictures of some of the things. We still have those wonderful 4 or 5 foot tall, 4 foot tall giraffes. We still have the original paintings from Guinea-Bissau. We have hundreds of oils, beautiful African garments there, and we will treat you fair. We will treat you the way you deserve to be treated. And our thing is, it gives us something to do. There's my good daughter who has been so helpful, Maria, with everything. So come down and see us. Come down and say hello. Purchase a little something that would help to continue our growth and our progress down there. And there's a lot to see at the Lebanon Valley Farmers Market. In addition to my stand, there's all kinds of wonderful food that's available. Japanese restaurant, an African American lady, Diva, has a wonderful place there. There's Candy World Station. There's Kerner's Poetry. There's Buddy that does some Philly cheesesteaks that's off the chart. So it'll be a fun day, not just to come down to see us, but to come down to just enjoy yourself. On the second level, there's a sitting area plus a Japanese takeout restaurant and a bar and grill on the third floor. So hey, make a day of it. Come down to see us at the Lebanon Valley Farmers Market. That's Richard James stand, which is called African Paradise. And you can go on our website online and take a look at that and some of the things that we have. African Paradise. God bless you and keep you, and may heaven smile upon you. We want you to uh, continue to improve, and we continue to lift up positive things and positive people. But one thing we're going to do at the Richard James Show is to tell it like it is. God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you, and be gracious to you. Thanks, everyone, for helping me. Thanks, Chris. Thank all of you for helping us with this worldwide broadcast. Richard James signing off. Until next week, God bless, and take care. So long.
Thank you again for tuning in to the Richard James Show. Our African and our African American programs are set up to educate you on what's going on in this world. We thank you for taking out the time to listen. Let us hear from you sometime also. So this is your neighbor and your friend signing off. Until I see you again next week and hear from you again next week. So long. God bless.